Okay. We should be live. Let me retweet this business. Oh yeah, Discord. Oh, hello Internet. If you're watching this after the fact, hello future people.
Hello world. Oh man.
This is going to be probably a fairly quick episode. Mostly because it's a PUP at night. We're recording here. It's 7 o'clock for me. It's 9 o'clock for Musum. And I'm sick. It's one. I think contractually one of the three of us has to be sick on any given episode.
It's a rough contract, but someone's got to take it.
That's right. Hello, Angel Eye. Nice to see you in chat. Wait, there's actually one person in chat. I have been proven wrong.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't know how we do on Saturday night.
Yeah.
Oh crap, we get an extra hour tonight, don't we?
Oh, do we?
Or wait, are you guys in daylight? Do you guys do daylight saving times?
Arizona doesn't do it.
Okay, that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's that's right. Fall back, spring forward, right?
Yep. Great.
So,
I can take another hour of antibiotic sleep.
Yeah. That's it's funny, like in my 20s, it's like, yes, another hour of drinking at wherever I'm drinking.
Yeah, that's right.
Now I'm like, oh god, just make it just stop with daylight savings time.
Like, do I have to go to bed later now? Like, how do I do the math? Yeah.
My whole life is going to be off schedule for at least the next month.
Yeah. Okay. Are you ready to get this thing started?
Let's do it.
Alright, starting in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of Picking Up the Pixels RPG Love. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Musum.
Hello.
We're episode 100. We've been doing this for over 8 years, which sort of blew our minds here when we were pre-show here, because we were talking about how long it's been, and we both thought, yeah, it's probably been like 3 years. And then I remembered my kid is 3, so it's been a lot longer than that. Unfortunately, Mina is not with us. She's recovering, and our best thoughts go with her for a speedy recovery. We're going to do something a little bit different here at the beginning, because we don't have much to go on here this episode, and we're recording late at night, so it might be a little punchy. We're going to talk about RPG releases for the month of November 2019. Romancing Saga 3 Remastered comes out on, wait for them all, PC, Switch, PS4, PS Vita, Xbox One, iOS, and Android on the 11th. I have never played this one, so I'm excited to check it out on apparently every device I own.
What was the original platform for this? Do you remember?
Super NES.
Okay.
Yeah, this was one of those ones that never, like, this and Seiken Densetsu 3 were like the two big Square Enix white whales that never came out over here.
Were the first two sagas, were they Game Boy games?
Yes, so Final Fantasy Adventure? No,
okay.
Final Fantasy Legend on the Game Boy, 1, 2, and 3, those are all Saga games.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, the series is historically sort of like, here's an RPG, but everything about it is weird. Like, all the systems are weird, all the characters are weird. Like, Final Fantasy Legend 2 has that thing where if you start with a monster in your party and they eat other monsters' meats, there's like a flow chart of what monster they're gonna evolve into, and it's like, this is all terribly complex for like a 2-bit system. So I've always heard Romancing Saga 3 is really good, but I have never played it, emulated or otherwise, so maybe now's the time. And lastly, Pokemon Sword and Shield comes out on the Switch on the 15th. The first non-handheld true Pokemon game, although I guess the Switch is kind of a handheld as well. But this game seems and looks really good. And I like the really giant fat Pikachu, the one that's like 15 stories tall. I'm way into that. But other than that, I feel like I don't know too much about this. So I usually play every. I feel like Pokemon games are like Call of Duty, where it's like every 5 games, I'm sort of like, yeah, I could maybe play another one of those. That maybe it's been time enough. No.
Someday I will play the Pokemon series, but
You've never played any of them,
except for the phone game that they did. I briefly played that. Whatever it's called. But like every time I think about it, I'm like, I need to get an original Game Boy in that
right.
game, and then transfer all my Pokemon through all the games.
Right. I think that there's like a cutoff point at some point where you can't, or like you have to start with the Game Boy Advance remakes and like start from there. There's something. Someone will know more. Angel Eye in chat asks, so Boston, sword or shield, which are you getting? I don't know. I sort of like the dog with the sword on the art, but I think my real there would be my 2 considerations for a Pokemon game are, 1, can I get all the starters in each game, which I believe you can. I want that fighting rabbit score bunny with like the Band-Aid on its nose. That's the cutest thing ever. The other one is I want to know that that duck with the shield that's holding that leek that's like 50 feet tall. I want to know what game that one's in, because that's the one I want. Yeah, but the critical decisions here on Pokemon. But yeah. All right, that's our releases for November 2019. So let's get into what you've been playing this past month, Musum.
So I actually thought of now up to 4 games. I remembered another one.
Saving the show.
Yeah. So I played a bit more Final Fantasy VII.
Okay. Angel Eye in chat says the duck is in Sword, so Sword all the way.
Good to know. Duck Sword.
That's right.
It's weird, like how replaying Final Fantasy VII, like if you had asked me a few years ago, I would generally think of like Final Fantasy VII and 8 as kind of my favorites, like the definitive Final Fantasies to me.
Right.
Because
like
I'd never
the start
really
of the 2nd gen Final Fantasies.
Yeah. And 7's really where I joined, but replaying through it, like I really don't like hardly any of the systems in this game.
I have felt that way for a long time because I replayed it maybe on the PSP, like when they started doing PS1 games on there, and I got so much flack for it, but I was sort of like, hey, this game is wildly uneven and often not a lot of fun.
Like the characters and story, okay, I get it. Like those parts are good, and I think that's what carried me through the game eventually. Like the Turks are a delight to run into, just the ridiculous nature of that group. But
that song is great.
But then you deal with the freaking mini games, and like grinding materia is not. Whoever thought that was a good idea of let's give them barely any AP to level up the materia, but I can't remember why I have to level it up. I feel like it duplicates or something at the end, but I know there's a reason.
And I feel like that, that was the era of RPGs putting like on the box. It's like 2 hours of cutscenes. It's like over 100 hours of gameplay, and it's like but like 95 hours of this game are like grinding materia. It was very much like your game is going to sell better if you put on the box that this game is like 400 hours long.
Like on the Switch version, having the infinite limit breaks and the extra speed and turning things off is really a lifesaver. Like I don't think I've gotten too much further since the last cast. I think I spent some time just kind of grinding out some levels and limit breaks, and it's like my next destination is the City of the Ancients, and I've gotten the key to go in there from Dio, and like the City of the Ancients is where the thing happens,
right?
Which I guess we can't just loosely talk about as a spoiler anymore.
Too many people get so upset.
It's like such a weird concept.
20-year-old spoiler.
But now I have a certain character that I have to at least get their 4th limit break before I head over there.
Right.
Just so I don't know why. It's stupid.
There's a trophy.
Yeah. Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's kind of where I'm at on it, and I'm also like I feel like I can get to most of the map with the vehicles I have now, even though I don't have the high wind yet. So I feel like I should be able to find isn't this one of the games with a cactar island in it? And don't you get the cactar materia from it or something?
I feel like that's like all Final Fantasy games ever since they showed up in like 3 or 4. I feel like there's always a cactar island.
Yeah, I either need to Google it or go to one of my, and no lie, 3 strategy guides.
Yes. And figure out what they call cactars back then.
It is like, so back in the day, I played it on PC, and for some reason I bought the PC strategy guide.
Right.
No idea if there was an actual difference. It was
probably revised, maybe.
Yeah, and then like at some point, evidently, I bought the normal strategy guide, and I'm pretty sure I have a third book, and I don't know what the heck.
20th anniversary hardcover strategy guide.
I don't even think it's that. Right. I think it's from the same era somehow.
If you had a PS1, I think you just had a Final Fantasy VII strategy guide. Like it came in the box.
yeah, it's I don't know.
Yeah.
Weird thing. So anyway, also I turned on Grim Dawn again. That's a nice game just to pop in every once in a while too. Because in Grim Dawn, my 2 classes are Necromancer and Occultist, and I'm using it just as a summon class. So I have something like 6 skeletons I can summon, and I have some weird monster thing I can summon, and now from the Occultist class, I can summon a crow or raven, I'm not sure which, and a hellhound.
Wow.
So that's pretty neat.
You got like 12 things following you around.
Exactly. It's wonderful. Cool. It's how it should be.
Yeah.
It makes me want to play Diablo 2 as a necromancer again.
Right.
But I don't know. That's still kind of a nice game. I wish I could have it on Switch. Like, it seems like the perfect lay on the couch, play a handheld game.
Yeah, like half paying attention to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But honestly, that's made me kind of consider, should I get Diablo 3 for Switch? And then it's also like, if they're revamping Diablo 2, like, what are the chances that they'd put that on a console?
Right. Like, should I just play that on Switch if it comes out?
Yeah. So that's just going to delay any purchasing there anyway. But I briefly popped in Witcher 1. I've been trying to make myself play that like a couple times a week. I am enjoying it more now that I'm just not... Like, previously when I was playing it, I was getting frustrated because I just wanted to be at it. Now, I'm just treating it as a game. Just something I'm playing for enjoyment, wandering around with the ridiculousness of it. Like,
making a little bit of progress here and there.
Yeah. So, like, in Act 5, I don't think there is any... Like, the main game plot is gone now. I don't know where it is. I don't know where to find it.
Okay.
Like... Act 5 literally starts out with you being teleported out of the city away from the main plot. And you're just in this random place. You run into like another Witcher, and that happened a long time ago in my game. And now I'm just wandering around, and there's evidently this woman who's marrying a guy who's in love with a different woman, and evidently the woman's sister is in love with that guy. And like there's like a... It's like a... I feel like there's more than 3 people in this love triangle. I feel like it's like a 5-person love triangle.
Right.
And like I think one of them's dead and might have turned into a Noon Wraith, but I'm not really clear on the context of that. And like I tried fighting the Noon Wraith and lost, and that was also me trying to remember the combat system and
get all your preparation done.
Yeah. Well, in this one, like the Witcher Combat 1 system is actually really easy once you remember what it is. And all it is you wait for the symbol to turn to like a glowy sword, and you press the button.
Yeah, you like click your left mouse button.
Exactly. As long as you get that timing down, you will beat most things.
Right.
And if you're losing, it's probably because you've either let yourself be surrounded or whatever, and you just need to do more drugs and
Witcher drugs.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't know. I've just been kind of doing random quests that may or may not be progressing the main plot. I don't know. I don't really know how to get out of this place. There's a broken bridge. Maybe I need to help them repair it. Maybe I don't.
Yeah, you got to solve the love pentagram.
Maybe. I love Candy Crush. Anyway, so where I'm at in the game right now, like this little kid for some reason is following me in the field, and I don't remember the plot line for this little kid, but I know Shawnee was taking care of him, and I think that was like a story decision I made, and I think the woman enchantress that I guess is his girl fling in the other games is mad at me right now because I gave the kid to Shawnee.
Oh, okay.
But the kid got teleported away from Shawnee to this village, but separately from me.
So much teleporting going on.
There is. It's very strange.
Yeah.
And the kid has like weird dreams and says creepy stuff every once in a while, and now he's just decided to follow me around this field. Like I loaded up the game and he was following me around. I'm like, okay, this obviously glitched. This isn't supposed to happen. And I reloaded it, talked to him again. Oh, he says he's going to follow me around. So
great.
I don't know what this is. So I don't know. I don't know if I will follow through on my word to beat Witcher and Tales of Vesperia. I'm fairly certain I will not play Tales of Vesperia again this year.
Right.
Witcher, I'm just going to try and make myself play it a couple times a month and maybe move forward in the franchise.
Yeah, make a little progress.
Yeah. But and last but certainly not least, and possibly one of the best games I've played in a long time, I'm playing The Outer Worlds.
Yeah, me too. I was actually just putting a little bit of time here before we started the show. I was doing some stuff on Roseway. That's the farthest I've gotten. I don't know where you're at.
I completed Roseway.
Okay.
I just landed on, I think it's Monarch.
Okay, I've heard that name, yeah.
Yeah. So, I like, to me, and I don't know, I've been debating like all before this podcast, like how much do I want to talk about the critical reception? Like I got on Twitter and was pretty adamant about like how the critical descriptions of the game were wrong, and I think I've toned down a little bit on that, but it's a lot of like, you know, when you play like an original game, most of the time it's a lot of elements from other games mashed together. Like you think of Void Bastards, and like first-person shooters have been done before, roguelikes have been done before, like games with a comic style have been done before, but they mashed them all together. So to me, like Obsidian took kind of, you know, let's take our crazy dialogue branching stuff that we use in so many things. Let's put it in a first-person game that could be compared to a Fallout or a Deus Ex or something like that, and then like put you in a spaceship that is kind of a like that's basically the inside of the Firefly from the TV show Firefly. Like, that break room is almost verbatim the break room. That shuttle bay is almost, or shuttle bay, the cargo bay is basically the same thing. Paravati, like, I see the world where they said, let's make Kaylee, but oh crap, this is too much like Kaylee. Let's see, Kaylee likes people, so let's make her a little shy of people. Kaylee is a little promiscuous, so let's make her the direct opposite of that.
Yeah, we'll make her ace, and here's Parvati. It's like, oh, yeah. Although really, Parvati is really great.
I enjoy that character immensely. Like, this is not to disparage her at all. Like, just I think she is still very much her own thing. This is just me thinking, oh, how did they come up with this? But to me, like, this is a really... It in a way, it's kind of the game I've always wanted. Like, it's I've been telling people it's like Fallout and Mass Effect had a baby.
Yeah, and I think... I've been pushing back a lot as well on the Fallout descriptions, because I feel like if it feels like any Fallout game, it feels like Fallout 1 and 2 as opposed to 3 and 4 in New Vegas, because I think when people hear Fallout nowadays, they think it's going to be this huge, boring, bland open world, and it's not. It's more like how Mass Effect did their planets pre-Andromeda, where it's like, you're going to go to the planet, you have this map screen to go on. You've got a bunch of objectives on it, but not too many. And then you're finished with it, and then you go to another planet. Like that, it's this. I don't want to call it compartmentalized, but it's like that's the satisfying version of compartmentalized. It's like you don't have it's not like Xenoblade Chronicles, where it's like, all right, how many hit this town? 40 side quests later, I picked up. I can now go out in the open world. It's like, no, you have maybe 2 or 3 quests. One of the quests might have like 3 things you need to do in it. Sometimes they're optional. Go crazy. Like, here's 1 or 2 dungeons. Here's your town. It's not that big, and I think, to me, that's one of the biggest selling points to it.
Yeah, I honestly, like, this is a game that, I hope they think of I don't know what the ending of this game is going to be like. Like,
Right.
you're certainly not corralling various factions against each other like in New Vegas or something.
Right.
So I'm not sure where this game winds up, but I hope there's DLC for it, and I hope they continue. But like, the last thing I would want in the sequel is for them to say, "Cool, our game did financially well. We have a bigger budget. Now let's just explode this out." Like,
Open world time. All right.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
I love the tightly knit nature of this, and like, one of the things I've always wanted, and I'm fairly certain I've said it on this podcast, is like a Elder Scrolls or whatever style game where I have a spaceship and I can go places, and that's
Right.
honestly, this game has showed me, that was basically Mass Effect,
Right.
like, in a way.
Yeah. Well,
And it was tightly knit, and it's not like I don't necessarily need a world to go and sightsee. I like doing that in games, but like, I like the tightly knit nature of this so much more. I like having the little areas to go with the little storylines and the optional parts, and
it's
I
all
also
well designed. Like, each dungeon has been crafted. Like, it's not just, I don't know, slap a couple of hallways and some rooms in there, you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really like also that I'm not, at this point in time, my goal is not to save the Reaper or save the universe from some existential threat.
Right. Yeah, and your goal is either turn in that guy who woke you up, which you can do very early on in the game, or get all the stuff you need to wake everybody else up on the ship. And it's like, great, cool. Like, this is a big enough story for me to care about, but it's, like you said, it's not sort of, well, they're going to wipe out the universe unless you, the one person, stop them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's and honestly, I kind of wish they'd like kind of just ditched off like inventory management to an extent. Like,
Yeah.
like, to be clear, like, there are certain aspects of it I really like. I really love all the stuff the engineering skills brings with tinkering.
Yeah.
And like the mod stuff. I always like modding things.
Yeah, me too.
But like, just, you know what? Just get rid of encumbrance. You don't need 500 weapons in this game. Just give me like
Right.
a dozen ones with some really cool mods that can completely change the weapon. And I think that's all you'd really need.
Yeah.
So.
I think one of the things that's the most interesting is I've been recommending people, once they're a little bit into the game, if they don't want to get spoiled, to go watch the Giant Bomb Quick Look EX, because 2 of the guys from Obsidian came on to play the game, and
oh wow,
they were really honest about time constraints and budget constraints, where it's like, we could have done X, Y, and Z, and we could have made this game bigger or whatever, but we didn't really have the budget or the time, so we wanted to focus on smaller environments and more interesting stories in those environments, as opposed to really blowing this game up. And I think Outer Worlds has satisfied me even this early on in the game, and I'm seeing most people finishing it in about 20 hours, which is really great, because I would like to hop back in this game and try some of the other decisions I haven't made, because as opposed to Mass Effect, I think one of the things that's really great about Outer Worlds is, you make that big decision at the end of Edgewater, and there's no right choice, and there isn't this is the Paragon and this is the Renegade choice. It's not like, steal everybody's stuff and shoot them, or like, I'm gonna fix everybody's problems. Like, no, you have to make a choice, and someone's gonna suffer no matter what you do, so you gotta make a choice.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Obsidian does really well.
So on that choice, like, I agree with you on that for most of the game, but I also think that I made the best choice on that, and I won't get into it because it's spoilers, but
okay.
If you make one choice, there's a certain kind of swapping and reuniting of the factions you can do afterwards.
Yeah, I did that too. I sort of stumbled into it by saying like, well, I guess I hope this happens if I make this choice. Oh, it did. All right. But boy, the sign you can read in your cabin on your ship made me feel real bad about that decision. I don't know if you've seen the like Spacer's Choice sign that appears in your cabin, but basically when you make that choice, it says something like you've reunited the factions, but you've taught them not to dream. And I was like, oh, my heart. Ow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like, video game. Oh, God.
Honestly, I'm not really clear where like all the collectibles you find show up. Like I'll show up on the ship. It's like, you found these.
Yeah, you've
like,
got
and
a
I've
saber.
seen that thing on the wall. I didn't realize I could read it, but
yeah, I just upgraded. I picked a perk where things I can interact with highlight 5 yards further away, or like 5 meters or something.
Oh, wow.
Something in the game. So it's like I can now see a lot of stuff even further away, and I was like, oh, I can interact with this thing. Oh, that made me feel real bad. Okay.
I'll have to look at that.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you, so in these games I am just a kleptomaniac.
Yes.
I feel terrible. Like I am just like everyone in this game is poor and miserable, and I am taking all of their stuff.
And I feel so badly because like I'll go in someone's room in like a hotel or something, and they have 3 credit bits, like $3, and I'm like, I'm taking it. I might have 15,000 already. I'm taking those 3. I might need them later. It's like I left that poor person destitute over $3.
Pretty much. Sucks. Oh, you just said all this stuff in the room is important to you. We'll just turn around and I'm taking it all.
Yeah, I'm just gonna close that door and start scooping it all up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually been pretty happy with not only the dialogue options in like being able to use your science and your hacking and your medical and all that stuff, but I really like how I'm able to take all of those skills and sort of circumvent pretty much anything deadly in my path, where it's like my hacking is up really high, so I can open this door, open this terminal, open this other thing, and kind of like scoot out the back without even seeing anyone. It's like that's exactly what I want out of one of these games, is that I want to minimize my fighting, I want to maximize speaking and hacking, and it actually works in this.
And there's so few games that do it. Like I had a friend comment like, yeah, everyone I know is just taking the dialogue stuff. I'm like, well, you know that's because that is almost never offered in any of these games. Like that would not be offered in Fallout 3 New Vegas.
Right.
I mean, New Vegas had it in stints, but at the end of the day, you still have to cross the wasteland, right?
Yeah, like at some point you're still going to have to fight people, but in Outer Worlds, like there are so many, and thankfully the game will say, you know, when you are going to attack someone, it'll say attack and then a line of dialogue, which is greatly appreciated, instead of like, I'm going to ask you a question, and it's like, wait, no, that wasn't what I wanted. And it is really nice that I can talk my way out of stuff. I can medically help people. I can scientifically help people, and I think that makes that stuff really worthwhile.
Yeah, I mean, I always appreciate when the game shows you the full dialogue choice, like it does here.
Yeah.
Instead of, oh, you clicked that, and no, that was just a summary. You misinterpreted that summary, and now your character is just threatening to shoot this other person's children or something.
And I think a thing we haven't seen in, I can't think of a recent game that's done it. I think the Mass Effect trilogy did this, is I really like when you're talking to people, and like they challenge you, or you challenge them, or you ask them a bunch of questions. Like Parvati is gonna chime in and be like, "Hey, don't be mean to my captain. Like she's just trying to help you." Or it's like Ellie's gonna come in and be like, "Oh man, I'm a doctor. You know, maybe you shouldn't do this thing with a bone saw." And it's like, that's cool. Like I want them to be part of my party, instead of just, well, she gives me 9 speech and she gives me something over here. You know, they're not just stat monkeys.
Well, and it happens like all the time. Like I had a
Yeah.
character moment in the bar with Parvati,
Yeah,
and
me
like
too.
Ellie was with me, and Ellie piped up a couple times.
Yep. Yeah,
Like
I brought her with
she's
me
not
too.
just sitting there awkwardly listening.
Yeah, she's just not in the background. Like she's, yeah, I liked that. Number one, I really loved the Parvati. I don't know, like a companion quest, I guess you'd call them.
Yeah.
But I really loved that whole thing, and I was also blown away with Ellie sort of being like, hey, I'm like, maybe you should talk to this other person if you really like him. It's like, yeah, listen to Ellie and me, your captain. But like, this is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so they actually talk a bit too. It's a bit spoilery, but Kat Bailey's podcast, Axe of the Blood God.
Yeah.
They did the same interviewing. I'm betting with the same two people, and it's a little spoilery on that quest in particular, but
Okay.
they talk about that and where that came from and kind of the relation there. Or at least I think it was. Shoot, was it that quest or was that? Gosh, those guys are doing like a press tour. Like,
Yeah.
I haven't seen the Giant Bomb one, but I think I've seen at least two things where they kind of discuss that stuff. So.
Yeah, and Giant Bomb, they just like play through the first hour of the game, and they just they pick it apart and they talk about the whole thing, which is great.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
That's gosh, and you know, so on release, like I had an interesting experience in that I preloaded it on both my PC and my Xbox.
I did too, yeah, because it's on Game Pass or both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was available on PC first, and I played it a bit on there. And the reality of me playing games on my PC is it ran that game fine.
Yep, me too.
It doesn't always run new games fine because it's 6 years old, and that's ancient in PC years.
Right.
But the reality is my eyes are old, and I cannot see the screen as well as I used to be able to.
And the text is so small.
Yeah. So... having it on, like playing it on Xbox on the TV has been kind of my bread and butter, just because it is large, is 4 times as large as my PC monitor. It just been highly appreciated. Like, and I don't right now. I won't get into it, but I would not be able to afford this game,
right?
If it were not for Game Pass. So.
Yeah, I mean, me too. Like, I was explaining to my wife, like. She asked me how I was liking the new game. It's like, well, I like it. I started on PC, and it has really good Xbox One controller support. Unfortunately, no PS4 controller support, which is weird. I told her, like, I can't get comfortable when I'm playing a game up here. Like, my whole setup is built around recording these shows, and it's very much not me having a comfortable chair and being able to relax and, like, everything like that. It's built to keep me awake while I'm recording stuff. So I told her, I was like, well, I just installed it on, unfortunately, my very ailing launch Xbox One. And I just installed it over there, and I restarted it because I had only played about an hour, and it doesn't have Play Anywhere. And I was explaining to her, like, this is how great Game Pass is. I just downloaded, I think it's like 30 gigs or something. I just downloaded it on my Xbox One, and I started it, and it was, for all intents and purposes, free. I didn't have to spend another $60 or, fight through getting comfortable in my office. I just, well, it's not working for me. I'll sit in my recliner and play the game. And I cannot say enough good stuff about Game Pass. It saved me so much money this year.
It's really good. I really hope PlayStation comes out. I say that. I know they have some sort of service. I don't know how good it is.
Yeah, they have PS Now that, like, you can download games, but it's always sort of like, now you can download GTA 5, and it's like, yeah, but, like, that's pretty old.
Yeah, like, I guess if they get that service to a point where you can preload and play, like, the Sony first-party games on first day release, like, if I can play Last of Us 2 that way, like...
Yeah.
And they give it to me for $5 or $10 a month, and then I think that's something I could buy it on.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think 2019 has been a slippery slope for subscription services, but I think when you look at something like Game Pass, it's like $5 a month for 2 platforms for over 100 games on both of them, and oftentimes there's a lot of crossover, but it's like, well, here's 50 games you can only play on PC because they're not out on console. Here's 100 games over here on your Xbox One that you can't play on PC. It's like, well, crap, that's a good deal.
Yeah,
This episode brought to you by Game Pass.
So, like, my wife occasionally is like, man, I feel like playing something, and like, she always wants me to just make up a game that she'll like to play. Like, lately, I've just been like looking Game Pass, and like the other day, she's like, oh, here's this Adventure Time game. I'm going to download this and play it, and she played that.
It's free.
She basically played that until she accidentally beat it. She meant to do more stuff in the game. But
well, and I wish that the Xbox One version had there's a feature in the Xbox app on PC where it's just a randomized button. It's like, I'm just gonna pick a game out of the hat, and here it goes. Do you want to play this one? And I wish the Xbox had an option like that, where it's like, just here's a random game.
That's man, I'd almost say Netflix needs that, but there's too much variety in video content, I think, for that.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I have a ton more to add about the Outer Worlds.
It's really good. I think if you listen to the show, you probably like RPGs. Outer Worlds, even this early in, even after like an hour or two, it's one of the best RPGs I've played in a while.
Yeah, and it's not like when I started playing it, like, I liked it.
Mm-hmm.
And at the beginning, I didn't necessarily have doubts that I wouldn't like it as much as everyone else, but I did have like, well, maybe this isn't as whatever as I think it will be. But like, the more I progressed through that first area and got closer, and then got to my ship and met the AI on the ship, and
you see the decision coming that you have to make it from a mile away, and it's like, I don't want to do this. I'll do more side quests. I don't want to do the decision yet.
Yeah.
It's like, I learned more information by doing all the side quests. Ah, crap.
It is just won me over. Like, you know, and when you leave the planet, the first planet, it's kind of like, you know, it's almost like what Dragon Age Inquisition should have been, right? Like,
yeah.
Because you go in that first area in Dragon Age Inquisition, and it's too big, and it's too much stuff in it.
What's it called? The Hinterlands, I think?
Yeah, that's it, the Hinterlands. So,
the big meme was like, just leave the Hinterlands. There's so much more game. Like, just get out of there.
And this one kind of does the perfect thing. And you're in the Hinterlands, you do 5 or 6 quests or something like that, and then you leave. And
the game says you're done here. Like, you gotta go.
Instead of like Dragon, whatever that game's called.
Dragon
What's
Age.
wrong with my brain?
It's getting
Dragon
late.
Age. Thank you. Instead of like a Dragon Age thing where you're just on one continent and going to different regions, you get in a spaceship. You go up to a space station effectively.
Yeah, and I got really excited when it pulled up the galaxy map, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, yeah, this is that. There's not too many planets. It's not something like, you know, when Mass Effect would open its map, it's like 400 stars. It's like, no. It's like, here's like 8. And maybe one you can't go to. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far in the story, but you got a bunch. So it's manageable.
It's great.
Yeah. So I like it.
I'm sure we will talk about it next month.
Yes, I'm very excited to finish it, but I'm savoring it.
Which is
great.
I feel like I've already spent 20 hours in it, but I may be wrong. I do spend a lot of time combing over stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm probably wrong. I probably just spent like 12 hours in it.
Yeah.
There you go. So that's all I got.
Did I talk about the new Destiny 2 release last month? I don't believe I did.
Yeah, I don't think you did.
All right, so 2 new Destiny 2 releases came out. Let's talk about New Light first. So Destiny 2 New Light is now the base Destiny 2. If you've never played Destiny 2 before, this is where you start. Destiny 2 is free. It's not free to play or anything like that. The base Destiny 2 is free. It gets you all the content from year 1, basically the base Destiny 2 and the first 2 expansions, and a lot of the stuff from year 2, and that was the Forsaken launch. There's still some stuff like the raid and the dungeon and some some outside stuff that you will need to buy Forsaken for, but it's pretty cheap at this point because they keep slashing the price on it. If you want to play Destiny 2, and you've never played it before, and you have a friend that plays it, please have them help you. Bungie has not... Destiny 2 has always been a little obtuse. And it's always been a little bit... It could always use just like one more step of tutorials and just like one more sentence on each screen to just tell me what I'm supposed to be doing. Destiny 2 New Light doesn't do any of that to really welcome you to the game. And Destiny 2 is very large now, which is great for free because you just get to play a poop ton of stuff for free. But now, when you finish... They've redone the intro mission from Destiny 1, like where you get your ship and you go through old Russia and like the ghost wakes you up. They've redone that mission. So you go through and you finish that, and then at the end of that, they dump you in the tower, and they tell you good luck. As opposed to when Destiny 2 launched, where you go through the whole storyline, and you get all your powers back, and that sort of gives you a tutorial. They don't do that anymore. So, if you have a friend, get your friend to help you through getting the foundational groundwork of Destiny 2. If you don't have a friend to do that, you can find me at Janston on every platform. And I own it on all 3 platforms, and I will help you. So go try Destiny 2 if you've always been curious about it. It is free, and you can just go download it and play it. The big release, though, and it's technically a standalone expansion, is Shadowkeep. That is, if you don't own Shadowkeep, you can play the first mission, and you can explore the moon. So you can do the patrol on the new location. For someone, I guess I'm technically a Destiny veteran at this point, who spent a lot of time on the moon in Destiny 1, seeing the moon back is really great, and having Bungie show the progression of time is even better. Because the moon was in bad shape in Destiny 1, but it's sort of fallen apart a little bit more this time, and there are more areas for you to explore, which is great. So it's not just, here's the moon from Destiny 1, we put it in Destiny 2, go exploring, which is great. There's sort of it's sort of confusing because there's 2 major storylines going on right now. One is Shadowkeep, which is Eris Morn, the professional spooky lady from Destiny 1, is back. She's found some horrible, evil stuff on the moon. Nightmares of things you've killed in the past have come back and they're haunting you. We're still sort of figuring it out. I really don't want to spoil anything else in the story because it starts to pay off a storyline that they started at the beginning of Destiny 2 Year 2 with Forsaken. And finally they are progressing the story they've been telling season over season. At the same time, there's a brand new season in the game, Season of the Undying, and basically the Vex are invading the moon for a reason we don't know yet. So we're sort of pushing them back off of the moon while we're, I don't know why, but building a Vex portal in the tower to go take the fight to them, which sounds like a really bad idea, and I will probably blow up in our face. But the one thing that Bungie is doing, because I think, Musum, one of the things, I don't want to speak for you too much, but I think one of the things that was starting to push you out of Destiny 2 is there would be a new season, there'd be a new activity, and there's like yet another activity to do on top of the 30 that are there, and then next season is going to have 1 or 2 more. So just, there's more and more and more stuff in Destiny. What's great is Bungie have finally figured out that that's a problem, and that's an untenable situation. So the new event that's here in Season 8, it's called Vex Offensive, basically a wave-based horde mode. that storyline of that event progresses over the season, and then at the end of the season, we complete a story activity to, like, I'm assuming, push the Vex off the moon for good, and that activity goes away forever. So, like, you have this activity that's only around for this season. Once it's done, like, the storyline will close up that activity, and then we'll go on to something else in the next season, whatever that is. That's really great, because if you're like me and you're fairly hardcore into Destiny, there's all these great reward sources, but you've been playing that stuff for sometimes a year plus. It's like, I don't want to play that stuff anymore because I'm so sick of it. I want to go play this new stuff, and thankfully they have figured out a way to do that. And they're saying that there's a bunch of exclusive loot in it. They're saying that the activity will go away, but the loot will just move to a different source, which is great because you sort of get the best of both worlds. Play this activity and you finished it, and then the cool loot that you might want is just going to go somewhere else. So I think that's really smart. And there's about, it's like, I just looked today, I think there's like 35 days left in this season. So we're sort of getting to the halfway point. But I'm really curious to see how they're going to wrap that whole thing up and move into the next season, which is right now called Season of the Redacted. But I think because whatever storyline-wise we wrap up in this season will introduce the next season. Because they're...
That is...
Go ahead.
I should say, that is highly appealing, because, like, that's really my biggest problem with just games as a service in general, is that they all want to monopolize your time.
Like, all of your time, and not just like, hey, you can play this one day a week and you're fine. It's like, no, like, day in and day out, put your time in, like, clock in, clock out. And the other great thing they've done is you can purchase every season individually now. So if a new season gets announced, Season of the Drifter last year is the famous example. That was focused purely around Gambit. And if you didn't like Gambit, sorry, you bought it anyway. Every season now is just $10. If you didn't buy the season pass, which gets you all 4 seasons, if you don't like what's going on that season, you don't have to buy it. And you can still play all the other bajillion stuff that's in Destiny 2. And if you like it, buy that one, buy the season pass, whatever. I think that's a way smarter plan for it. So
yeah.
Destiny 2 seems to be in a pretty good state right now. There's a ton more people, and estimates say there's 1.5 million more players in Destiny 2 across all platforms right now. And that was on top of between 1 million and 1.2 million people before. So more than doubled the amount of people that are playing. And it's just a really great game to shoot a bunch of aliens in the face. Like, it's like you were talking about with Grim Dawn. Destiny 2 is very much that for me, where it's like, I know how to play, I know what I need to do, I have my objectives I'm working on right now. They're triumphs for me in Destiny 2, where it's like, I need to do this activity a bunch over the next month, so I'll sort of chew away at it over the next couple of weeks, and then just kind of relax and turn my brain off a little bit. When I'm not doing, for anyone that wants to raid with me, I have my brain on when I'm raiding, don't worry. I have not done the new raid yet, unfortunately. My normal raiding party, we've all been too busy, so we haven't gotten together yet. So
I feel like Destiny 2's it's like I feel like it's a game I'm gonna go back to like once every few years, like as long as they're running it and updating it. I'm sure they'll do. I mean, that game's just going to wind up huge, Yeah. And I think it's, like you were saying on the tutorial stuff, I think that's a problem that all those online games have. Like, Warframe has certainly
famously
struggled with that.
Yep.
And Warframe I might be completely done with. Like, because I updated that like a month or two ago, thinking I'm gonna get in and play, and I waited for it to update, and then I just stared at the launcher.
The weight of the world on you is like, can I get back into it?
Yeah, and then I just closed it out. Like I just, and part of that is just like some of my extracurricular activities of the last half year demanded more time.
Right.
And I'm getting to a point with those to where I can. It's not taking as much time as it used to, but that's just gonna wax and wane, and I'll hopefully eventually talk about those someday, but not today. Well, but Destiny 2, I can see myself, especially with the free-to-play nature of it now, like just, who's to say, like, in January I won't have a lull and be like, you know what, this feels like a good time to go back to that.
You'll
shooting in that game feels good. I have an old character. Right.
Well, and the great part, too, now, with how they're working on how they're making Destiny 2 is when Shadowkeep and New Light came out, everyone is level 50 and everyone is light level 750, and every base activity in the game only requires light level 750. So that's day awesome. One, moment one, you can hop in with your friends and you can just get playing. Like there's no leveling anymore. Like you're level 50 and all of your experience, all of your XP and all your experience gains all go to the battle pass. So you're just unlocking cosmetic stuff and exotics and stuff like that. So I think that's a really smart choice, because someone like you, whenever you have some free time, it's not like, oh God, I have to go in and I have to do all this homework just so I can go play with my friends. It's like, no man, like hop in a party and let's go do some stuff. Like you're ready. We're good. Let's go do it.
Awesome.
I think that's, I wish Bungie would talk more about that, because I feel like that would bring a lot of people that were correctly bitten by Destiny 2's first year, where it's like, hey man, if you want to check out all this stuff, get all that stuff for free, and hop right in with your friends and start playing stuff. I think that's a really smart choice. So, I think that's it for Destiny 2. It's sort of hard because there's a lot of new stuff, but it's all kind of still Destiny 2. Like, if you really didn't like it before and it really pushed you away, nothing here is really going to pull you back in. It's not like, hey, suddenly it's Fortnite and you can build stuff in PvP. It's not a radically different game. It's just, hey, we're taking the core of Destiny 2 and we're just kind of polishing everything. So,
cool.
But those are all the RPGs I played this month, which means that's our episode. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. Visit us at pickingupthepixels.com. Everywhere to find and follow us is on the right-hand side of the page. Patreon.com/E1M1. The ones are numbers. The $5 a month tier is the one you really want to do. Not per episode. I know some podcasts do that. Just $5 per month. Super cheap. All the early access and behind-the-scenes stuff. Sometimes outtakes. We have a show called Outcast. It's the uncensored outtakes from the show. Sometimes PUP shows up on that. Not this month. It's real quick in and out PUP After Dark recording. But patreon.com/E1M1. All that stuff. Musim, where can we find you online?
So my nexus for all my audio endeavors is at jbaudio.net, and you can find me on Twitter at John Musim.
You can find me at e1m1.com for all my shows, and also, since I'm talking about Destiny, DestinyEmblemCollector.com. I'm obsessed with emblems in Destiny. I want to tell you how many of them are available and exactly how you can get them, because Destiny 2 doesn't. DestinyEmblemCollector.com. It's free and there's no ads. So go crazy. Thank you very much, Musim, for joining me yet again.
Pleasure as always.
And we'll see you all next month. Bye. Thank you, everyone, for joining us live. We're going to go because it's starting to get late. Bye.